I decided to do my project on how much I've been on my computer. I've been on my computer 75% more this week than last week. This week I was on my computer for 24 hours, so I want to know how many hours I was on my computer last week. So we're going to start by identifying all of our important information. So what is it that we are comparing here? Well, let's see. We know we have last week, and we have this week, and this week is 75% more than last week. And I also know that this week I was on my computer for 24 hours. So last week, we want to know how many hours I was on my computer. This tells us that last week is going to be our 100% or our whole, and this week is going to be our part. Now let's start out with our percent equation. And to do that, we need a part and a percent and a whole. So we decided our part was this week. We know that is 24 hours. My whole, I don't know, that's X. And we need a percent. I was on 75% more. So what does that mean? That means it's going to be an increase. So that means I'm going to have been on my computer 175%, which I divide by 100 to get my decimal, 1.75. So now I can write my equation. Part equals percent times whole. So I'm going to put in my numbers. 24 is my part, my percent is 1.75 times my whole, which I don't know, that's X. So now I solve my equation. How do I get X by itself? I divide both sides by 1.75, and that gives me X equals 13.71428. So I know that I was last week, I was on my computer 13.7 hours. All right. Now we're going to do the same thing, only this time we're going to show our problem using double number lines. So the first thing I draw is my 100% number line, and I label that last week. And then I draw my second number line, that's going to be this week, and I know that it's an increase, so I'm going to make it longer, and I know that's 175%, and that's this week. And I know that this week I was on for 24 hours. And last week, I don't know how long I was on, so we call that X. And then this just lets us, this is my part, this is my whole, my percent, 1.75 is a decimal. And it allows me to simply do my percent equation, part equals percent times whole, but using a visual aid. So it's the same equation, 0.75 times my unknown X, and once again, we solve it the same way. Divide both sides by 1.75, get the same value, which is good because we're doing the same problem, just a different way. So once again, last week I only spent 13.7 hours on my computer. right? Next up, we're going to be using factors of 100. Now, to do this, I know that I'm using 100% and 175%. So I need to find my GCF, my greatest common factor of both of those, and that is 25%. I'm going to divide both of them by my 25%. That means my 100% is broken up into 4 pieces, and my 175% breaks up into 7 pieces. Now, which one of these do I know? I know this one right here. I know that this is the same as 24 hours. So I am going to take my 7 pieces and I'm going to take 24 and divide it up into 7 pieces. And that gives me 3.42857, or we can call that 3.42 hours per 25%. Now, how many 25% were in my 100? There's 4 of those. So I am going to take my 3.42 hours that's in each of my pieces and multiply that by the 4 pieces. This is my 100%. There's 4 pieces in that. 3.42 times 4 is 13.68. And so that, once again, tells me that last week, which is my whole value, my 100% value there, I spent 13.7 hours on my computer. So, as expected, we got the same answer on all 3 pieces, which is what should happen. We are just representing this problem 3 different ways. First, with the percent equation, which is just part equals percent times whole. With our double number line, which is a visual representation of the percent equation. So again, I use part equals percent times whole. And then by factors of 100, where I break up my 2% into equal sized pieces. Then I find how much each of those single pieces are worth, which was right here. I broke up my 24 into the 7 pieces of my 175%, and then I multiplied that by the 4 pieces of my 100% to get my time on the computer. So there's my project. I've spent a whole lot of time on the computer this week. How about you? Let me know if you have questions on your project. You're doing great. Have fun with your percent projects.